Well, hello once again, space engineers. Today we're here to talk about designing and building certain types of grids, specialty type grids, for the city grid system. And what we found as we were playing along is we needed a lot more hydrogen storage. We just didn't have enough to fill the ships that go off into, or planning to go off into space, and then be able to restock them and so on and so forth. So we wanted to build the earthbound, because we were sitting on a large lake. We wanted to build a storage facility to hold enough hydrogen that could actually get us to space and be able to do anything. Because in the game that we're playing, it's on quite a rare. We've used the rare resources and deep resources and different things like that. So it's very difficult to find resources, and ice in space is just not there. So we don't have a way to create hydrogen, and until we find uranium and platinum and all that, well, it's just got all that progression stuff that you got to get to. So right now we're building a hydrogen tank, and we decided to make one that would fit as a grid system. So I wanted to show you a little bit about what I've done with that and how I did it. And I tried to make it look a little bit like a hydrogen storage facility or a gas storage facility that you might see out in the Midwest. Certainly they've got a lot of gasoline storage tanks. And so I wanted to make it kind of look like that. But unfortunately, with space engineers, you don't have anything that you can make exactly round. So what I used was these curved blocks. Over here, these round armor, different things. There's corners, and yeah, that one happens to be a corner there. You can see that that's what that is. And so I kind of made those in a line and did the best I could. I don't really think there's much better that you can make. And down here on this part, I used the round armor slope, and it kind of made it looks a little bit like a tank in itself, like a storage tank in and of itself. And then, whoops, I kind of missed the platform, didn't I? So I wanted to show you what's inside of one of these. I'm not going to take the tops off all of them, and I'm not going to take all the top, but I wanted to show you kind of the idea that we came with. That let's just rip that top off here, and we'll take a couple more. Those will be easy enough to replace after a while. And so I just kind of made a little building basically around a bunch of storage tanks, and that ought to be enough. Let's take this one off too, though, so we can see exactly what that looks like. And that ought to help. So you can see there's two large storage tanks, and they're tied together. And then I used conveyors to be able to bring it along. There's a stack right here of conveyors, 3 of them. And then you can see there's 3 more small storage tanks here. And then that leads over here by 1. And then it connects here. And then underneath all of these, it's 5 more smalls. And there's 4 small, or 3 small ones over here, I guess. You lose 1 because you got to make the connectors. And then we've got a couple more over here and some more over there and all that. And then it's kind of surrounded by these buildings, or this thing that makes it look a little bit like a round storage tank. So it's really just the parts that are available, but then you put these little other parts around it, and it makes it look real cool. And now we've got a grid that's 25 by 25, and we've got storage facilities in there, hydrogen storage facilities. So how much storage did we get out of this? Well, it's a pretty interesting build. I enjoyed doing this a lot. And let's just drop down here underneath, and I've got some statistics for those that like statistics as much as I do, because I wanted to know how much we've got in there. And this one has 17 small ones and 2 large ones, and so there's a total of 85,700,000 liters in that one tank. Now I've left these connectors available because we don't want to try to fill up this whole thing at once. It'll just take forever, and so I want to just try to fill up one section at a time, and then we're going to tie in more sections as we go along. So this one came up with 17 small and 2 large. I tried to make this in synchronous and wound up just or symmetry, I mean, and I wound up not getting that for some reason. So over here we got 19 small and 2 large. So we've got 95,700,000 liters. And then we go down here on this other one, and whoops, wrong direction. We go. We've got 2 of them that have 19 and 2 of them that have 17. So what we wound up with, I kind of got the symmetry in the wrong direction. So we've got another 19 here, and then of course we've got that other 17 over here that we could just drop by and see real quick. It's got 17 in it. So and then we've got that one in the center, which is the largest of all of them, and it's got 5 large containers and 28 small containers for a total of 141,750,000 liters. Wow. And the total for all that together, well, I'm going to have to jump over here to the spreadsheet that I had. Just 1 minute, and I'll tell you what that total all is, and it's a big number. There's no question about that. It's 323,150,000 liters that we can put in here. That's going to take a lot of ice. I mean, a lot of ice. So we're going to pop that into the grid. I'll put that on this recording here in a minute. We're going to move this over to the grid system. But first I wanted to talk about a couple of really important things that you want to do if you're putting anything into the grid system. One thing you just got to do is you've got to rename all of these tanks and everything, because what it'll come out with is it'll just say hydrogen tank, large hydrogen tank, small hydrogen tank, and then when you put it over on the grid, you don't know if that's part of this facility, the storage facility, or if it's part of the a ship or anything. And naming becomes really, 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 really critically important for putting this into the grid system. So what you do is you go get a programming block, and you can see the programming block there, and we're going to go over here and just do this together. And what I want to do is, because as you add blocks or as you add these tanks and everything, they'll renumber, but sometimes they don't renumber really in the order they were added, or they make no sense. These numbers in this case really don't make any sense unless you wanted to go in and figure out which one was in this storage area number 1 and tank such and such. It's impossible to figure out. They're so tightly packed in there. If anything goes wrong, you're going to you'd see some damage, and you'll have to look for smoke and go fix it. I mean, that's just all you can do, because it's just impossible. There's just too many tanks in here. So what I want to do in this case is I want to put in front of this, I want it to say H2 storage, and then I want it to say small hydrogen tank, and then not have a number, because it just has no validity at all. So the simplest way to do that is use a programming block and use a program that's called Izzy's Renamer. Izzy has a lot of different programs out there we use all the time, and so what we want to do here is pull up that renaming, and it's actually called Izzy's Block Renaming Script. So I recommend that you will subscribe to that and use it, and I'm going to show you exactly how to use it here. You copy that into the editor, and you don't have to change a thing. Everything is, for the basic stuff, unless you really want to get crazy, it's all set up. So it's always a good idea to say check code, and yep, it works. Okay, we figured it did. And then now it's running, and it's got the instructions you want right now. Renaming a block is like this: replace, remove. What we really want to do is we want to get down here and look about add strings, because what we want to do, the first thing we want to do is add the string in front, and then we're going to do the remove the numbers. And so that's another, we're going to do that down here. Where is it? Well, it's in here somewhere. We'll do it. But the first one we're going to do is add strings. So you want to say add front, comma, and then the string. So it's just that easy. And in the argument, we want to say H2 storage. Well, that's what we've decided we want to call this grid, this plot, is we're going to call it H2 storage. So we do that and we just click run. And did I click run? Oh, no, I can't just say H2 storage, can I? I've got to say just what it says there, Steve. You got to do that. Okay, what do we have to do? We have to add string. There it is. Add string, add front, sorry. Add front, comma, H2 storage. There we go. I bet that's going to work a lot better when you follow the instructions. See how good it works? Okay, so the next thing we want to do is we want to remove the numbering. So there's a command, and I didn't see it in there. Oh, we got to do this again. That's interesting. That didn't go back to that. So well, we just do this, and it'll put it back up there. And rename grid, auto sort, remove numbers. There it is. It's called remove numbers. And we don't have to do anything else than that. Remove numbers and run. And now it's going to say instead of the tank, the different numbering, it should be that those tanks are no longer numbered. Yeah, that's interesting that when you scroll over it, it still shows that, but actually in the wording, it's not. So that's just part of how Space Engineers works. Probably if we go like this and come back in, we'll see that it's, yeah, there's not any numbers in there anymore. So now we've got this all named and everything where it's really good. We really don't need to see all these storage tanks. We don't want to see them, especially when we add them all to the grid. So I'm going to come in here and take out all the small and all the large and all the LCD panels. Really, we don't need to see any of this when we put it into the grid system later. So I'm going to turn those off in the terminal. I'm also going to turn them off in the toolbar configuration. So there's nothing that's going to be seen from this when we put it in the grid. Now, when we go, we may want to be able to go back in and put it into inventory because we want to see how it's filling. But let's see how that works, because this says, let's see, on a storage hydrogen tank. Yeah, see, it's going to say show the block in inventory, which is fine. We'll see it when we go to inventory, and we can go in and see if it's, no, actually, you've got to do that in, this is one of the challenges that we get into, that I get into all the time, is in Space Engineers, where is it that you got to look to get the information you really want? And actually, in this case, we want to show them in the terminal, but we don't want to show them in the inventory, because in inventory, it fills your inventory with nothing useful. So what I'm going to do is come back in here and change these. I'm going to show them in the terminal, but not in inventory. And I don't need them in the toolbar or anything like that. So we'll see them. It's going to be a lot of storage tanks. You may only want to put one or two of them in there, because you don't really care if one's filling, the others are filling, right? But for the first part, that's probably is a better idea, is to show it in the terminal, but not in the inventory screen. So there we go. That's all set up. And now we can copy this and move it over to the other system, because I always work in, I highly recommend it, that you have your own little world over here that is yours, and you get to work on all the different projects. You can see I've got a solar plant over here, and I had a different model of this tank I was working on, and I didn't like that, or whatever, and this gives me the ability to just stick as many of them as I want in here and not have to worry about it. So the only thing I really need to do before I go back to to put it in the other one is we just come in here, we copy that color, and we just go and put these blocks back in real quick. We put those in. Looks like I ate one of the other blocks earlier there. So we'll put that one. Put that one. Back up and move over a little bit. That's you got to be real careful on those edges because you don't want to put in too many. There we go. Those are back, and these are back. Good. And then I saw that I missed. Did I take off one of those corners? I think I did right here. Yeah. So we take that other corner and we stick it in there. Oh, no, that's the wrong one. I didn't want that kind. I want that one. There we go. Okay, so now that's got everything I want. It's all renamed the way I want it. Everything is ready to go. However, we don't really want to take this programming block. We want that to stay for later. And so what I want to do, because I don't need these batteries over there, and what I want to do here is I want to leave this post and this little chair because it gives me recharge for stuff. I can leave the programming block that's already got the renamer on it. I've got the battery, I've got the solar power, so I can leave this for using next time. So what I want to do here is I'm going to make a little post in a different place because we always got to secure it to the ground. Even with the physics here, if you don't, then the thing falls. And then I'm going to take out this one. And so now, of course, the LCDs you see went offline because there's no power now. But now I've got this post I can use for my next project, which is really a great thing. You always want to be able to keep more tools available. And now I can take this grid and I want to just turn around over here and get that down here where I get a nice little picture of it. And then I'm going to take that, and this will be the one actually that I'll post to the workshop as I get that chance. We're going to do this. Now I'm going to turn off the signals. So signal switched off. We want to do that. And then I want to make 0. I don't want anything in my hand. And then I'm going to hit tab twice. And you'll see that, whoops, sometimes you have to type 2, 3 times, whatever it is. But you get that and that turns off everything. So now you've got a nice picture, except the part up there that says performance issues. Not much you can do about that. Experimental mode. Oh, there it turned off. That's a great thing for this moment if I can capture this before it does that again. So that looks like a really nice picture. So I'm going to go ahead and do my blueprint. And this is called, I want to rename that. And I want to rename that to be H2 storage facility. So there's that. Great. Now I can go over to the other system, and we'll do that here in a moment, and put that into our system and add it to our large grid. And we're just going to keep building and building and building. So stick around here, and we'll get that moved over.